Um, Man, David, you really want us to go after.
You know what? We
You
looked
know
at
what?
that. Did you share that with anybody? Oh, it's on there. They can
Yeah,
all
yeah,
see
they
it.
can all see that. We think it's great that they're going after this, and we think it's great that they're actually going and doing that. So, um,
It might be great for somebody.
Yeah.
It's not the same class of machine I would choose.
yeah,
And if you're going to print, would you print in a dusty environment? I wouldn't. I don't think that's a good choice. So, I mean, part of what they've done looks great.
Yeah.
Part of what they've done makes me want to go buy one.
yeah,
Until I get to the plywood part.
but yeah. So
They said they're hoping for $1 million.
Yes.
They might get it.
So if they get it, great.
Awesome.
Yeah. More power to them.
You don't have enough mass to have that mill.
I know, but let them figure that out. Let them figure it out. So
Okay. Well, let someone else worry about it.
yeah. So exactly, X-Ray Charlie. Yeah, well said. D. Mickelson asks if there's going to be a CNC option on the HYREL.
Not like you might think. Well, the only thing that there will be, okay, I would love to make a CNC out of this. I love my CNC. I would love everybody to come over and be able to use my CNC. Bottom line is that this was not designed for mass. It was designed for smooth, long-term motion. And we didn't put 400-pound or 1,200-pound tables on here to give you the mass you need to machine with. That's one. Number two is there's any decent CNC has flood capability. There's no point in trying to machine metals if you can't give them a coolant, because the coolant makes it real world. It makes it so you can get beautiful finishes, longevity on your cutters, all kinds of good stuff. So from my side, it doesn't make sense. We could make something else. However, and this was brought to us by Tim Newberry in Australia. God bless you, Tim. You brought a lot of good stuff with you. The turbine, the vacuum cleaner turbine drill. That is an accessory that I plan on implementing. I would have already done it if I had a little more manpower. I was kind of hoping Tim would drive that to completion for us, but we ran short on time. That said, it's one of the few accessories that does removal that I feel has a place in our printer, and the reason for our building system, manufacturing system. And the reason why I say that is it removes the effluent, it removes the dust, it removes the chips as it's doing the drilling. And so that to me makes it a very sensible attachment. Now we have a couple other attachments that I think are really good. One of them being the laser.
Yeah.
And I plan on doing some cutting and some scribing with it. And no, I don't plan on being a catch-all laser, but sometimes it's nice to have some little parts you can just whip on up there and have a little fun with them. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a system that's a kind of general purpose in that way.
Yeah.
We have one other thing. I'm mentioning it now, which gives us at least 12 months before the patent is a problem.
Just one more thing.
We have a technology which we have not shared with anybody yet, and it's a method for using sound waves to form the plastic, the wax, the plasticine, and the clay at a resolution with a detail that, as up to this point, is unmentioned.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that way. Just keep your seatbelts on, because what we believe and what I've already tested, I think it will change the way you look at or expect the finished quality and the finished detail that can be achieved using these types of manufacturing process.
Yes. Okay. Nothing more. Thank you, Eagle 1J, for talking about the wine bottle print and giving us a small little link here.
Wow.
Looks like
That looks like a custom bottle.
if you Google, it's probably my hand-decorated Big Bird wine bottle. There you go. So interesting.
I
Very
think
nice.
someone's really into their wine on that one. I wouldn't drink from that bottle.
No. But I guess it's a point of pride.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pro guy. No. Sorry. Just want to make sure. Let's see. Powers USA. There we go. Any hothead progress this week? 2 weeks ago, you alluded to a rubberized crush nut, and we actually printed with that in place. Yes.
Not only did we print with it last week, we sent it to Greg on Monday, and he successfully printed several days in a row, and has had no problems. As a matter of fact, one of his emails to me was, I think I can just about quote it. He says, "Something is seriously wrong. It's been printing for 90 minutes and I haven't done a thing. I'm bored stiff."
Yeah.
He said, "Good job." I believe that we have solved a lot of the issues with the ABS printing, and I believe that we are ready to put out the Mark I. Our philosophy's always been, if we don't believe it'll work, don't send it. I believe this one will work. We have no reason to believe it won't. I would like to share a little bit with you guys, because it's going to look like we didn't do a whole lot this week, but we did a hell of a lot this week. So let me tell you how one thing leads to another. As soon as our broadcast got finished and we whipped up a couple of these little puppy dogs, you guys remember this part from last week. Okay, this is the cover for the printer, the part that we said we wouldn't ship till we printed it.
Yep.
Okay. We started in on a larger build.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
And this will be the part of the week, probably, and it might be the part of the month.
Yes.
And we found a bug in Repetier that was life-threatening.
Yeah, a couple of them actually.
This is just the first
Layer.
No, this is the first 2 layers.
Yeah.
Ignore the void that came out of there. That happened when I removed it. Yeah, this came off our printer. So you see how shiny and everything it is? Looks pretty good. That's the way it came off. We did not post-process it.
That's right.
Repetier chokes and dies a painful, slow death when you get extremely large files. This file is 382,000 lines long. That's 382,000 G or M codes to make the part that this is. This part, when it's done, sits about this tall. It's a work of art. We have to thank one of the guys from Los Angeles.
Yes. And
Jorge,
if you're watching, thank you.
We love you. This is awesome. This was the best test part we've gotten so far. It exercised the machine everywhere, and it found a bug. So what do? We cried for a few minutes. Hutch got out a whip and said, "Get back to work, you bastard." And so I, ow, don't hit me on public. People won't understand. Okay. The problem is that when Repetier has this custom editor that they've written, they have it so that the events, when you edit on the text, fire off into the redraw sequence. And they've tried to come up with a way of measuring the frame rate. And when the frame rate gets slow, then they slow down how fast or the quality of the draw. Unfortunately, when you get down to the size, get to this size of a part, the low quality ain't slow enough.
Yeah. And
all along, I haven't been in love with the Repetier editor. I realize it has some great things, but it's also had some real quirks. Bottom line is, I've been working on an editor that we've been using all along, built on a rich text box, and since we're in .NET, it was a no-brainer. We dropped it in. We load in about 4.5 or 5 seconds a 400,000 line file. It's ready to rock and roll, and it prints 50 lines a second. Greg managed to get the baud rate up to 115.2. That means it cooks with gas. Problem solved.
Yep.
So it works on everything so far. We've tested it, and I run at least a million lines through this last 3 days in testing. No hiccups, no glitches. So you can make something the size of Texas. Well, not really that big. But you can build probably up to a 10 million line build without having any choking going on.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's a lot of lines.
Yeah.
So
I think that goes over. That just about goes over the full build area.
You want me to tell you how long that would be? From our current experience, 4 to the 4, it takes about 4 hours per 100,000 lines. You're looking at a lot of time. It's 4 hours, it'd be 40 hours, it would be 4. you're looking at 400 hours of print time before we start choking. That's for one part. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be an old person like me if you try printing that part.
It's like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's continuous. So actually, it's not that long.
What?
It's 4 days times 10. It's 40 days.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long
No,
time.
is that right? No, it's not. 100. It's 100.
24 into 100. Oh, it's 400 hours.
It's 100. It's 168. It's 168 hours in a week. So basically, yeah.
4 times 24 is 96.
Okay.
So I fudge it up to 100.
Okay.
Times 4, 16. Yeah. See, this guy's always checking on me. He makes sure I park in a right parking place. He's a good guy. All right, let's see what the next question is.
Seraphina says, I would like to see you guys do some PCBs. I guess he's asking if we could do PCBs with our machine. So
That's the idea for the turbine.
Yeah.
The turbine should be able to perform the routing, the low speed routing,
Yes.
and very fine routing on the fiberglass.
Yes. And Robbie Halverson, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you, sir. It says, don't try to do everything, IEE, CNC, do a few things very, very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining us tonight. And Jason Sky bottle for Dimension and Print, weddings, brides will buy anything, stupid or not. Don't say that. X-Ray Charlie says, head with a small loop foam cutter would come in handy. We talked a little bit about that, didn't we?
What did they say?
X-Ray Charlie said head with small loop foam cutter would come in handy.
I just had a brilliant idea.
It's this point in the show where everything that's about to go and everything that's about to happen is going to be either complete magic or just an absolute total and complete train wreck. So, a little concerned. In the meantime, Seraphinus, yes, there goes the G rating. Yeah. Well, we've been actually pretty good about that. So, we try to keep it as family friendly as possible. So, DeCosta, thank you very much for sending us the link to Simplify 3D Creator. We'll take a look at that again, and let's see. It looks pretty nice, but we'll dive into that and see if that if it's a potential. So, and also June Lee, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I think you joined us like one time, or no, not one time, a couple of times, a lot more at the very beginning of the broadcast when we started doing this. So thank you very much for joining us again tonight.
Don't mind this,
I know you've
doctor's
got a
orders.
Crazy schedule. So thank you, sir. All right. Yep.
So basically, we did some shopping and some research, and we got this, which I might have showed you guys already. So if I did, forgive me. And basically, this is great, and I mean great for cutting styrofoam, white styrofoam. It slices, it dices, and this actually mounts in the head, so you can come down into the material, draw your pattern slowly. You're not going 20 inches a minute when you do this. Pull it back out, and voila, you get a nice profile. But for those of you guys that think that we stopped there, you can see the loop, maybe. Here.
Yeah.
There.
You gotta get it more toward the center. And there you go.
Okay, focus. There it is. See
Nice.
that? And this gets under control, programmable control. It gets quite hot. And this will burn the foam. And we're going to go ahead and mount up a better version of this with the controller card in the back. It drops right in. This was just for endurance testing. It's very easy to change the filament. You just got 2 set screws on the side, so you can put it in and out. Very simple. Gets the job done. If you're going to use this indoors, get the system, because this stinks to high heaven when I'm cutting some of the foams.
Yeah.
Just for your own good.
Yeah. Julie, I apologize. You're absolutely correct. It was another backer who has a name that's very close to yours. on this broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us. So.
Well, June Lee's been on every broadcast just about.
No, he's been catching it up afterwards because he's the one who's been traveling around and.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah. It was a different. It was one of the other Lees that.
Sorry.
Yeah. So thank you. Let's see.
It was 40 days in the Arctic?
What? No. Powers USA asks, is that the part you had printed by a third party?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
So that was the big one. The big one that we were just talking about just a moment ago.
You know what? I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
Yeah.
We have all along said the same thing. Our first best parts came off a Stratasys machine. That was 2 years ago. We feel like they still make one of the finest finishes. Never said anything different. We never say anything bad about Stratasys. We just can't afford them. We think that they have. I can't speak to their reliability. I don't have any knowledge of that.
Well, we haven't. Yeah.
But we have no reason to think that eggs should be thrown their direction. I just feel like we have a slightly different vector on the machine. But when it comes to print quality, we said, you know what? We like to compare the best to what we're doing because that's what we're striving to be. They set the bar. We're trying to jump up and maybe flip over it a little bit. You know, that we feel like that's a worthy goal. It's always been our goal. And so we had one part printed so we can compare it. And I got to tell you, if we hadn't done that, we might have fallen way short because what we thought we should be able to do and what they did, they kicked our rear end. They were so much better the first couple days. And we realized what we were doing wrong, and that's what we shared on the last broadcast.
Yep.
And so now we feel like the finish is right on parity, and in some cases might be a little better, but only in a few little instances. And in some cases, their finish is a little bit better. So I'm going to say overall, I feel like we're approaching the level of their quality. And God bless you guys, because we know that you partnered with someone we're not as enthusiastic about.
Well, they merged with Objet, who their machines we love.
Well, yeah, without question.
Obviously, we can't afford them. But
that will change. They will come down.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what happened. So that's why it makes no sense to go pay your competitor to make a part, but it does actually. Apples to apples. We don't want to lie to ourselves. We don't want to lie to you guys.
At the very least, Jorge will be able to get to know the difference between our machine and Stratasys' print quality.
We might be their best sales guys.
Yeah.
We'll find out. I'm pretty sure not.
There you go. So Eagle and Jay says, now you can print this without the gear. Mesh is getting so close that they print seized. And this is a thing from Thingiverse, thing number 53451, which happens to be the gear bearing.
Wow.
And this has been a test print for a lot of 3D printers that are out there. The actual print by itself looks to be somewhat of a difficult print because if you don't have everything dialed in when it comes to printing,
the prints actually join together,
and you can't get them make the bearings by themselves move around.
Oh, I want to do that print.
Yeah, I know.
That looks like fun.
That's part that particular design is very close to the twisty bottle, So.
But I see what they're doing. They print it with just a small gap between them.
Yes. Or they have a little bit of support material in between, and so that you break it off afterwards, and you're able to.
I think you want to support. No, I don't think you need support material on that.
I've seen this with some support material that they've taken and they've
you might.
So
we're going to print that. Yeah. Thank you. Who did that?
Eagle 1J.
Eagle 1J. Good job, man. I love this part. This is an excellent QC part. Absolutely. And I'm dying to show you what we can do with it.
He says, for the record, I have tried it on the Form 1. The bleed-through light on the laser is just enough to create the cure in the in-between space. Fantastic.
Yeah.
The resin is currently clear. Oh, it's not good? Oh.
We'll print it.
It's just enough to cure the in-between space. It's not enough to cure and still have some in-between
No, it
space.
sticks.
I'm sorry.
He's not really sorry. I know what sorry looks like. That's not it.
Well, if you pay $3,000 or something, I mean...
Well, that's not the right part for the job. They do some amazing stuff.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
not
true.
it doesn't the sweet spot of their printing capability.
That's true.
Just like some stuff they do is not the sweet spot of ours capability. I am not building the Eiffel Tower, not hanging upside down. So,
Okay.
all right. What do we got here? What's
Okay.
the next thing?
June Lee asks, then how about a head to paint the exterior of the print while printing?
I love this guy. You know, if we held a contest for the guy who gave us the most feedback and gave him a printer, there would be one going to June Lee.
Yes,
because
yes,
he has been so active and in many ways helpful. And actually, you keep those suggestions coming because
Yeah.
sooner or later, I'm going to wake up and think of a way to do something for you.
I will say this, June. Sometimes you ask me a question, I'm just kind of going, yeah, I'm gonna have to check on
Think
that.
about that. Let me think about that. Good. What's the next one?
Let's see. Nerd Rock says, so where is the final head design at that then?
My turn. I'm the final head design guy. We have a direct, what we call hob shaft. So the motor has been hobbed, and we are testing it. And I will test it for 1 to 2 more days. And then at that point, I will say, that's it. We're going to go with a hob shaft. We're going to go with a hob nut. And that's for the Mark 1.
Yeah.
Now, you know we're working on all kinds of stuff. And the problem I have is I can work on stuff for the next 10 years. That's not going to do anybody any good. This works. I don't cross my fingers when I press the print button.
No.
I believe it's going to print. I feel comfortable when I press the print button. That's the experience I want everybody else to have. With the proper preparation of the glass, it prints nice. We have some tweaking we're doing on the firmware to help us start and stop. Greg was nice enough to give me a new code drop last night. And Greg's been just a real
Yes.
trooper. He's working every day, 7
Greg,
days a week.
Mhm.
Amazing guy. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, I know.
So-
we know we were watching this on the rerun, so thank you.
So with the print head, the concept that material comes out on demand is solid. The tuning that we're doing right now is in the firmware and the look ahead so that we can get it to start and stop synchronized with the end of the move and the beginning of the move. And we have some really cool algorithms that I wrote to allow us to really, really nail that. And the first systems that go out, I forgot, can I make an announcement?
Which one?
One of the things in last night's code drop was the
yes.
bootloader for the main motion controller. So now everything, all firmware, can be upgraded directly from your PC or the embedded PC.
Yes.
And it's done with a click of a button. And I got to tell you, that's big news because it means no opening of connectors,
No JTAGs.
no JTAG, no nothing. It uploads, off it is.
So thank you, Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Thank you.
Everybody owes you.
Yeah.
Not as much as I owe you, but everybody owes you. So
Me too.
good job. And now that I said that, the reason why that's important is because we were kind of wading through people going, okay, this guy's an IT specialist. He'll have no problem with JTAG. This person's not necessarily an IT specialist. Got to push them around a little bit because they're going to have to wait until I get the software more firm. Well, now all the software is ready, so now we're pretty much in sequence with everybody as they stepped up to the plate. That's the way we can bat them out. A few little logistics things where we're dropping them off. We're going to have to plan those trips, and we have 2 of the trips planned already. And I think actually 3, counting the one going to the Maker World.
Maker,
New York.
yes,
Yeah,
the World Maker Fair in New York, September 21st and 22nd.
The first drop-offs will be this coming weekend.
Yep.
And I know I said 6 systems. It may only be 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working, but if they're not right, I'm not getting rid of them. I think you guys know who you are. One of them is it Nerd Rocks?
Well, yes, you're not getting rid of them. You're delivering.
Oh, I'm getting rid of these puppies. I'm sick of seeing them sit around here. They're going to someone else's place.
That's true. Let's see. Nerdrock said, you mentioned something about the head would be more exact.
The
Nice.
hob shaft is more precise than the hob nut or hob bolt. The reason is the working diameter is less than half.
Yeah.
We have more torque and we have better resolution. And yet it falls within the guidelines for the retract and restart, or what we call prime. And so this means that we still get a responsive stop and start, but we have better feed control. However, I got to tell you, from the prints we did, the material feed rate, it's just fine. I think those people that are trying to do 3 millimeters, they will enjoy having the hob shaft more. I think those that are doing 1.75 millimeter, I don't know that you'll see any difference of any kind. Other than we can push a little harder with the hob shaft because of the increased torque, and that means that we can run the material a little bit cooler because its viscosity will be a little bit thicker. Otherwise, no. So,
if I could interject here just for a second, we've got something that's actually kind of cool about. If you could hold up the big print one more time. This week we actually did a dry run. How many times? 3 times on that now? 2 or 3 times?
I'm actually up to 4.
4 times? Okay,
Yeah.
so I was off. That print takes how much time to print?
19 hours.
So, and how many times did it fail doing the dry run?
None of the dry runs when I was running through my code driver.
Yeah.
It failed every time when I ran through the Repeteer.
Ah, there you go.
And I don't. We're not saying anything bad about Repeteer.
No,
it's just not coded and designed to handle a large file and do the graphics updates and all the things that's got to go on. It's just too much for a processor. And if you think that we were cheating because we were using like a single core geode from AMD, I was running my i5, all right, which is a pretty healthy machine, and it couldn't do it. And I didn't have any other programs open.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it just wasn't able to keep up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Anyway,
there were times where I couldn't even hear it when it was printing, which was great. So, Eagle and Jay says, so we had plenty of good prints with the for the Form 1. Wanted to see if we could do that. Not because I thought it could not. Oh, you tried the Eiffel Tower. It needs supports, and then it prints just fine. Oh, very good.
Nice.
Very good. Okay. Let's see. DeCosta says, I'm thinking about flying to New York for the Maker Faire. Be our guest. Come on up if you'd like to. He's out in California. We, as Carl would say, he'd much rather fly out to you.
Yeah. I'm coming to see you for sure.
So,
New York is the last place I'm looking forward to going to. Los Angeles, that's where I want to go.
Mm-hmm. So yes, June, please come out, and we'll definitely see you there. Anyone who's in the area who wants to come out to the Maker Faire, please come on by. We'd love to see you guys there. Oh, good question. Kavana, we're looking to seeing you as well. I didn't realize that about you, but awesome.
So he doesn't want the little keyboard.
I can't blame you, man. We're 6'1", 6'2" ourselves. So,
Kavan has been nice enough to share a little feature of his own. He sends to us in a little bit of a side note. He says, I'm looking forward to meeting you. Do not be afraid. I'm 6'6" and large. So you can see why I don't think he wants that little tiny keyboard either.
June, dang, you guys are a giant to me. Yeah.
Hey, Kavan's a giant to me.
My parents come up to here on me. It's great. And my brothers come up to about here on me, which is even better, because they're both older than I am. So I get plenty of payback. Powers USA says, heated build a platform progress. Good question. Very good question. If we've had any heated build platform progress.
Why does he always catch me? I mean, I can never sneak out of a broadcast without the one sore spot coming up to bite me in the rear. No, actually, we printed until we sent to Greg, and Greg printed, and he's printing on our hot platforms. I think if your humidity is low enough, the standard platform is fine. I think if you're higher humidity, you got to need those extra 10 or 15 degrees. There's 3 things to be done to it. I've done 2 of them. One is that we milled slots to prohibit